Vol 1ch 85. In the evening, the backyard of the flowing Cloud Valley just finished an outdoor barbecue party. Next up was the long-awaited fireworks display for the Leon family. They found a good spot on the stone steps and sat down, quietly awaiting the start of the performance. Leon had his camera and the teddy bear that Rosvitha had given him during the day by his side. He crossed his legs, hung his arms, and looked up at the night sky. With the moon shining brightly and stars twinkling, it was indeed a perfect setting for fireworks. "Hey, it's starting over there. Sister, let's go quickly," Nguyen exclaimed, jumping off the stone steps and dragging Noya's hand as they ran off. Leon watched the lively and adorable figures of his daughters, unable to help but reveal a contented smile. He was just about to pick up the camera to capture this beautiful moment, but as he reached out, he couldn't find it anywhere. Leon felt a panic rising in his heart as he looked back. The camera was already in Rosvitha's hands. Click! Rosvitha pressed the shutter button while watching the backs of her daughters, then nodded satisfactorily at the magical projection from the camera. Leon immediately became nervous and casually approached Rosvitha. Let me take the pictures for you. You go and play with the girls." Without lifting her head, Rosvitha fiddled with the camera. "No need. I want to see what you've taken today and how they turned out." "Oh, I think they're all pretty good. We can look at them when we get home and develop them." "Let's see them now. Delete the ones you're not satisfied with." Rosvitha flipped through the photos Leon had taken today one by one. Leon's adrenaline surged with nervousness. In this situation, there was a sense of urgency akin to, you spent the whole summer vacation having a blast, only to realize you haven't touched any homework. Now, the teacher is going through each student's assignments on the podium, and they're about to get to you soon. But the only difference was that the student who hadn't finished their summer homework wouldn't dare to confront the teacher. Leon, on the other hand, dared. At worst, he'd get scolded. What if he managed to turn the tables? However, these photos were still his trump cards, and it was better not to reveal them if possible. Leon swallowed hard as Rosvitha had now flipped to the photos taken in the pedestrian street in the afternoon. Flipping further back would reveal the ones taken this morning, and even further back, that would be the bunny girl. His empty summer homework was about to... No, wait. His trump card for turning the tables on Rosvitha was about to turn into a merciless blade aimed at him. Think Kaz mode, use your brain. What would the master do in this situation? Oh, the master wouldn't even stoop so low as to photograph the bunny girl for the mistress, so applying his mindset wouldn't help in this situation at all. Leon bit his lip, looked left and right, then picked up a candy he had bought during the day. "Want some?" Rosvitha still didn't lift her head, staring at the magical projection of the camera, then slightly opened her mouth. Tilda. Leon was speechless, so he just fed her a piece of candy. Rosvitha's mouth was filled with candy, puffing up one side of her cheek, looking quite adorable, but now wasn't the time to admire the cuteness of the mother dragon. If he didn't stop her now, she would see the even cuter bunny girl. "Hey Leon, what's going on with this photo?" "It's exactly what you see." Leon straightened his chest, ready to face the consequences. Rosvitha paused, then crushed the candy in her mouth. "So, it's just a slightly off composition. Why such a big deal?" Leon stammered. Rosvitha picked up the camera, pointing to a photo on it. "See, my face is almost in the frame." Leon cleared his throat awkwardly. Maybe it's because you're too tall." Rosvitha didn't pursue further. "Oh, okay." Muttering to herself, she continued flipping through the photos. The one she had just seen was taken at the entrance of the pedestrian street at noon. At this moment, this camera was determining the course of the next 7 days of vacation. Whether it would be a storm or a calm, no one could say for sure. "Why are you so close to me?" Rosvitha suddenly remarked, still not lifting her head. Leon quickly retreated, and no reason. "Come here." "What for?" "I said come here." Leon awkwardly approached. Rosvitha raised the camera, aiming the lens at herself and Leon. Then, she tilted her head towards Leon, and finally pressed the shutter. After taking the photo, Rosvitha glanced at the preview image projected. Looks good. This way, we'll avoid the girls asking why we didn't take a photo together." Leon remarked, "Your Majesty, you are indeed far-sighted. And if you keep flipping forward, you'll see more than just this one photo tilde." After finishing, Risvitha handed the camera back to Leon. I'll go find the girls. You continue working hard and take more photos for us. Absolutely thrilled, my dear wife, Leon exclaimed. Risvitha rolled her eyes at him, ignoring his remark, and walked towards the fireworks display ahead. Leon breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, the revolution's gains are preserved. He glanced down at the camera in his hand, the image still frozen on the photo of him and Risvitha from earlier. In the photo, the couple faced the camera, with Risvitha leaning slightly against Leon, playfully making a peace sign. There was no deliberate angle chosen. In this photo, the two appeared as naturally as longtime lovers. Leon scratched his forehead, muttering, "A dragon over 200 years old still making peace signs, how childish." At this moment, he conveniently forgot that when he took a photo with Risvitha as the bunny girl, he also made quite a few peace signs himself. Leon raised the camera again, continuing to take photos of the nearby mother and daughters. The fireworks lit up the sky, dazzling and magnificent. After a while, Muin returned and sat beside Leon. "What's wrong, Muin?" Leon asked. The little dragoness leaned over, resting on Leon's lap and using her tail to cover her waist. Muin is tired from playing. Muin wants to rest. Leon smiled and took off his jacket, draping it over Muin. Okay. He looked up and saw Risvitha and Noya playing nearby. Both mother and daughter held small fireworks in their hands, with one also tucked in Noya's tail. Observing this scene, Leon sighed. Two people who are usually so serious rarely get to play together so happily. At his words, the little dragoness lying on his lap curled up and softly said, "Sister usually has to go to school, and Mom is busy with work, so they seldom get to play together like they are now. Dad, you worked hard to get the 7-day trip reward, so Muin wants Sister and Mom to spend more time together." Leon was momentarily surprised, realizing that Muin's return wasn't just because she was tired of playing, but also because she wanted Noya and Risvitha to have more time alone together. He smiled warmly and pinched Muin's ear. "You're growing up, Muin." But Muin shook her head. Muin hasn't grown up, and Muin doesn't know what growing up means. Muin just wants to make Sister happy and make Mom and Dad happy. A warm feeling surged through Leon's heart. He gently stroked his daughter's cheek, sighing. Despite Muin and Noya having vastly different personalities, they still loved their family in their own ways. They loved each other and their mom and dad. "Muin, you really are growing up." ZZZ. Leon lowered his head to see that Muin had already fallen asleep on his lap. So being tired from playing was indeed a significant part of the reason. Leon chuckled softly, then grabbed the camera and snapped a photo of Muin's adorable and peaceful sleeping face. After a while, Risvitha and Noya returned. Judging from Noya's expression, she must have been a little tired too. "Is she asleep?" Risvitha whispered, lowering her voice. Leon gently lifted Muin. "Shall we head back?" Risvitha nodded, holding Noya's hand, but after a moment's thought, she crouched down. "Would you like Mommy to carry you too?" Noya's eyes lit up and a tired smile appeared on her face. "Yes." Risvitha lifted Noya, following behind Leon as they left the backyard. The couple escorted the sisters back to their room. "Get some rest, both of you. I'll take care of Muin." Noya's voice sounded weary. Risvitha patted her head. "Yes, but you also need to rest and not stay up late." "Okay, good night, Mom." After a pause, Noya turned to look at Leon at the bedroom door. "Good night, Dad." Leon smiled, squinting his eyes, and waved. "Good night." After bidding each other good night, the couple returned to their own room. Leon changed into slippers, stretching lazily as he walked towards the bedroom. What a fulfilling day, Leon sighed as he flopped onto the soft hotel bed. Risvitha walked over to the bedside and kicked his leg gently. "So, are you sleeping with me tonight?" Leon jolted up. "No, I'm going to soak in the hot springs for a bit." "For how long?" Risvitha asked. Shrugging, Leon replied, "About an hour. Why are you joining too?" "Ma'am, you go ahead, I'm not in a rush." "Okay." Whenever they had to sleep separately, the couple always tacitly agreed to take things as they came, postponing decisions when possible. Once both of them finished soaking in the hot springs, those 2 hours would easily pass by, wouldn't they? As for how to face each other after those 2 hours, well, they would figure it out later. Leon took off his shirt, leaving on the swim trunks Risvitha had bought him yesterday. He then sneakily grabbed the camera before heading to the hot springs behind the bedroom. The warm water enveloped his body, washing away the fatigue and exhaustion of the whole day. Leon closed his eyes, leaning against the edge of the hot spring, arms stretched out, and let out a long sigh, luxuriating in this rare moment of relaxation. However, before he could fully relax for even 10 minutes, he heard the sound of sliding doors behind him. In the next moment, a pair of high heels entered his peripheral vision. Leon's heart skipped a beat. Could this dragoness be changing her mind so soon? "Where's the camera?" Risvitha asked. Leon hesitated. "The camera? What do you need the camera for?" "The grand finale of the fireworks display is about to start. I figured I might as well go downstairs to take some photos while I'm idle. Where's the camera?" "Oh, here it is." "Hey, wait a minute." But it was too late. Risvitha had already bent down and picked up the camera Leon had just placed next to the hot spring. "What's wrong?" Risvitha asked. Leon pursed his lips, unable to articulate anything. Seeing Leon's silence, Risvitha continued, "If you're not going to say anything, then I'll leave." With that, Risvitha turned and walked towards the bedroom door. However, just as she took a step, there was a splash behind her. "Let's soak in the hot spring together," Leon blurted out. Risvitha halted, standing with her back to Leon for several seconds before slowly turning around. "What did you say?" Leon's face flushed red. "I said, let's soak in the hot spring together." He couldn't let this dragoness take the camera. Losing the hardened fruits of his revolution was not an option. Compared to losing the revolution, what did soaking in the hot spring together matter? The couple stood facing each other, one tall and one short, as the fireworks exploded in the night sky, the brilliant light masking someone's slightly flushed face. Risvitha glanced at Leon's bare upper body, water droplets sliding down his sturdy muscles and scarred skin. She swallowed, then calmly replied, "Well, you said it, I'll go change." Vol 1ch, 86. Leon leaned back in the hot spring, gazing at the fireworks in the night sky. Truth be told, from Risvitha's perspective, Leon's move of soaking in the hot spring together to safeguard the secret weapon in his camera did have a certain charm of walking into the lion's den. But Leon could already guess what Risvitha would do when she came down later. First, she would provoke him, then tease him, and finally shift the blame. This routine was all too familiar to Leon. Provocation, dragon slayer, why are you afraid to look at me? Are you scared? Teasing, stop pretending, drop your pride, and be my obedient little puppy, okay? Blame shifting, just now it was you who wanted to do this with me voluntarily. You're the one who crossed your own line, not me. Despite being familiar with Risvitha's three-step strategy, Leon still fell for it every time. So this time, for the sake of his vacation, Leon had to come up with a way to break the cycle. Even if he couldn't break it, he couldn't just let things happen. As he pondered, he heard the light footsteps approaching. Leon glanced sideways and saw a pair of delicate and fair jade-like feet, with round ankles slightly protruding, quite adorable. His gaze followed up from the ankles to the calves, and there stood Risvitha beside the hot spring, wrapped in a towel tightly covered. "You're not planning to soak in the hot spring with just the towel, are you?" Leon asked. "Of course not," Risvitha replied. She pretended to be mysterious, with a hint of coaxing in her tone. "I bought a very sexy swimsuit. I'll be wearing it underneath the towel." She looked at Leon with a teasing smile, as if she didn't mind exposing her mischievous thoughts to him at all. Leon awkwardly adjusted his sitting position, snorted, and turned his head away. So what? An excellent dragon slayer can withstand all sorts of temptations. "Oh, then why are you turning your head away? Are you afraid of lighting up my dragon tattoo so you dare not look?" Risvitha teased. What's there to be afraid of?" Leon's face flushed, and he reluctantly turned his head back, his heart racing involuntarily. Risvitha narrowed her eyes and smiled, gradually removing the towel from her body. First, she revealed her delicate, pink shoulders and slender, straight collarbones, then a small corner of the dragon tattoo on her chest. Leon gulped and swallowed hard, feeling a rush of excitement similar to when he opened his master's Christmas gifts every year, because Leon never knew if the box contained an S-class dangerous creature cub or the neighbor's checklist for a spouse. However, what he saw beneath the towel was somewhat disappointing. It was a swimsuit so conservative that one might exclaim, "What a waste of such a good figure." Risvitha only exposed her shoulders and a small, snowy belly. The length of the swimsuit bottoms was akin to ordinary hot pants, suitable for wearing directly on the street. Her supple curves were completely concealed under the thin fabric. Leon breathed a sigh of relief internally. Thankfully, Risvitha had always been conservative in her attire. However, he couldn't show any signs of relief. Is this it? Is this how you test a dragon slayer? Which dragon slayer couldn't withstand such a test? Even if there were a couple fewer inches of fabric, I wouldn't let your dragon tattoo light up. Risvitha pinched her waist. Tusk, you're really something. Give me a hand, I'm going down. Leon stood up, offering his arm to Risvitha. Risvitha also bent slightly, gently grasping Leon's hand, then slowly descended into the hot spring. The warm water enveloped her as Risvitha closed her eyes, stretching her arms and legs, letting out a contented sigh. Indeed, soaking in the hot spring could bring both physical and mental pleasure. Splash! From the sound, Leon must have lain down beside her, with some distance between them. Risvitha chuckled inwardly, about to tease him, but she noticed something off. She suddenly opened her eyes, realizing that her swimsuit was undergoing some visible changes at an alarming rate. The length of the swimsuit gradually shortened, from initially covering the roots of her thighs to now just a small strip the size of a palm. The fabric in front of her chest was also rapidly diminishing, as if being gnawed by something. The 2 patches of white skin and dragon tattoos on Risvitha's chest were instantly exposed to the heat of the hot spring. Of course, the inexplicable reduction of fabric wasn't the most alarming thing. The most alarming thing was that a thin layer of black veil had been spread over her chest, abdomen, and waist. When the black veil met water, it adhered tightly to Risvitha's fair skin, exuding a seductive allure that made one's blood boil with just a glance. In the blink of an eye, a conservative swimsuit turned into a black lace lingerie. A flashback to the erotic suite at Isabella's house. Risvitha pinched the black veil on her body. After a slight astonishment, she chuckled. I should have guessed that the clothes my sister gave wouldn't be so simple. With that, she slowly turned her head to the bewildered Leon and asked with a smile, surprised. Surprise, what a surprise. You're cheating, dragon mother. Why did you bring clothes like this? Leon protested. Risvitha shrugged, kicking her legs lightly in the hot spring, sending up splashes of water. This is the swimsuit my sister gave me. I didn't know it would look like this. Leon's face flushed as he averted his gaze from Risvitha's body. He couldn't look too much. Looking too much would definitely lead to trouble. Seeing Leon's awkwardness, Risvitha felt a secret delight in her heart, but she continued to tease him. Didn't you just say you wanted a little less fabric, so my dragon tattoo would show more? Leon scratched his nose. I was just kidding. How about you go inside and change into another swimsuit? I would if I could, but this is the only one I brought. I don't have any others, Risvitha replied leisurely. What's wrong? The mighty dragon slayer who has defeated countless dragon kings is afraid of falling for this little black lace swimsuit of mine. Afraid? I'm definitely not afraid. As long as you're a dragon, I'm not interested in whatever you wear, Leon blurted out. As soon as these words left his mouth, Leon suddenly realized that the dragon mother had already initiated the first step of her classic 3-step strategy, provocation, and he had unwittingly stepped into her trap. It would be difficult to extricate himself now. But why not turn the tables? Leon began, but he was interrupted by Risvitha. It's actually you, Leon interjected before Risvitha could complete her provocative move. Risvitha raised an eyebrow. Me? What about me? Leon turned to face Risvitha, looking into her eyes with a calm demeanor, tinged with a hint of provocation. What if it's my dragon tattoo that lights up in the end? How would you handle that? The illumination of one party's dragon tattoo signifies that the other party is experiencing longing or desire towards them. At Leon's words, Risvitha chuckled. I can perfectly control my desires. I've never lost control before. So confident. Of course. Then dare to accept a challenge? Leon asked. Risvitha lowered her gaze to the dragon tattoo on Leon's chest and quickly understood. The dragon tattoo, not lighting up the challenge. Yes. All right, I accept. What's there to be afraid of? Risvitha said. But in any challenge, there must be a consideration of winning or losing, right? What if you lose? You can decide, Leon replied. Okay, if you win, I'll give you another 7 days off. Deal. It's a deal. Leon felt ecstatic. With this move of turning the tables, he successfully lured Rosvitha into his logical trap. Even without this challenge of not lighting up the dragon tattoo, given the dragon mother's personality, she would definitely keep provoking Leon continuously. When the time came, with the combination of the black lace swimsuit, proactive teasing, and the dragon tattoo buff, even if Leon were a stone, he would still feel the heat. And even if Leon managed to resist the temptation in the end, he wouldn't gain much. He might even provoke the dragon mother into anger, forcing the resonance of the dragon tattoo directly, leaving Leon with no escape. But now that Leon had proposed this challenge of not lighting up the dragon tattoo, he had left himself with a way out. At the same time, this way out would continue to motivate him throughout the process. Resist the temptation, and the second minification was within reach. The couple exchanged a glance. The challenge of not lighting up the dragon tattoo was set, ready to be triggered at any moment. Vol 1ch 87. When it came to cunning, the couple was actually evenly matched. It's just that Rosvitha was usually better at taking the initiative, plus she was fighting on her home turf, which is why she often seized the initiative. However, this not lighting up challenge was fair. It all depended on how the couple operated against each other. Leon knew that Rosvitha's current advantage lay in her fiery and sexy black lace swimsuit. So, as long as he could avoid looking at her as much as possible, he could effectively avoid the strong visual stimulation. With this in mind, Leon pretended to relax, reclining back, exposing only his neck and head, and slightly closing his eyes, appearing relaxed and content. Rosvitha glanced at Leon, knowing he was deliberately avoiding looking at her, but she couldn't directly ask him to focus his gaze here. Leon would surely use this as leverage against her. So she could only resort to a classic move to deal with this guy. The fireworks are so beautiful, it's a pity not to admire them, Rosvitha said. Since you're too afraid to look at me, then just look at the fireworks. Not brave enough to look at me. Excellent, perfect trigger keyword. Leon sat up. What do I have to be afraid of? Rosvitha chuckled. All right then, come a little closer and take a look. We can take a few more pictures together. Leon hesitated for a moment, swallowing nervously. My back hurts. It's not convenient to come over. I can see fine from here. Okay, if you won't come over, then I'll come to you. Hey, you don't. Splash. Before Leon could stop her, Rosvitha stood up from the hot spring. The black veil clung to her graceful figure, subtly revealing hints of her fair skin beneath, creating an alluring and enticing aura. Water flowed slowly down her skin, conveniently concealing her chest and lower abdomen. This gave Leon a brief moment to catch his breath. Her slender legs splashed through the spring water, making a splashing sound as she walked over to Leon and sat down beside him. Their shoulders brushed against each other, and Rosvitha smirked as she lightly bumped into him, ready to admit defeat. Leon scratched his cheek and chuckled. We've only just begun. There's no reason to admit defeat. HMPH, let's see how long you can hold out. With the beauty so close, her fragrance enveloping him, Leon couldn't tell if it was the scent of the surroundings or the scent emanating from Rosvitha herself. Leon had no mind to appreciate the beautiful fireworks. All his thoughts were focused on how to counter Rosvitha. Just then, he heard a cheerful singing voice from beside him. Twinkle, twinkle, shiny star Tilda. Leon turned his head to look, and Rosvitha happened to meet his gaze. The beauty smiled knowingly and continued singing to Leon. The dragon tattoo is like little stars Tilda. Leon rolled his eyes speechlessly. I feel more like, I love taking baths, my body is so well. HMPH, Rosvitha also withdrew her gaze, hugging her knees and looking up at the night sky. Leon, on the other hand, lowered his eyes, not daring to glance sideways, not even paying too much attention to what he could see out of the corner of his eye. After all, she was so close that even the slightest movement of her breathing could cause their arms to lightly touch. And it was precisely this downward gaze that gave Leon an idea. He slowly extended his hand into the water, then began to reach down slowly. Rosvitha was currently leisurely enjoying the fireworks in the night sky, pointing at a burst of firelight. Leon, look, doesn't that firework look like my dragon tattoo? Hey. Oh. Before she could finish her sentence, Rosvitha suddenly felt a sharp sensation at the tip of her tail. She looked down and saw Leon gently pinching her tail and lifting it up from the water. Hrisvitha lowered her eyes in exasperation. "Let go of my tail. Come on, honey, on such a beautiful night like this, while we can't hold hands to enjoy the scenery, can't I at least hold your tail?" He knew that Hrisvitha's tail was an extremely sensitive part of her body. In the few times of deep interaction that Leon could remember, he always managed to make Hrisvitha submit to him or feel more comfortable by gently touching and soothing her tail. As expected, a blush quickly spread across Hrisvitha's face. She swallowed nervously, feeling the tingling sensation at the tip of her tail, and even entertained the idea of letting Leon pinch it a little tighter. However, in the midst of the not lighting up challenge, Hrisvitha couldn't allow her tail to be controlled by Leon. She reached out to take back her tail. But Leon reacted swiftly, directly pulling half of her tail out of the hot spring and placing it on his own body. "Laid on you, Artilda." The warm and broad palm glided over her tail, and the tip of her tail was gripped with just the right amount of pressure, sending a wonderful electric-like sensation coursing through it. Hrisvitha's body softened, unconsciously squeezing her legs together. Leon watched Hrisvitha's reaction, feeling secretly pleased. Just as he was about to continue, Hrisvitha unexpectedly took hold of his hand. "Holding hands while enjoying fireworks, what's wrong with that, dear husband?" Hrisvitha held Leon's hand and gradually moved it away from her tail. The tingling sensation in her tail immediately subsided, and Hrisvitha breathed a sigh of relief. Leon stared blankly at their joined hands. He remembered the first time he held hands with Hrisvitha, which was under Muin's matchmaking. The second time was at Isabella's house when Hrisvitha was afraid of spiders, so he offered to hold her hand. And now, was it her turn to take the initiative? Although the purpose was to move his hand away from her tail, Leon could clearly feel Hrisvitha's nervousness and shyness when they held hands. While Leon was lost in thought, Hrisvitha quickly withdrew her tail and tucked it away. Leon suddenly found his hand empty and sighed with regret after coming back to his senses. Hrisvitha breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. "My tail is feeling a bit uncomfortable today. I'll let you touch it another day." Leon glanced at her but didn't say anything. Hrisvitha turned her head back to the night sky. For the moment, neither of the couple made any further moves. But their hands, which had been clasped together just now, remained joined, and seemed to be tightening slightly. That's how two competitive people were. If one inadvertently applied a little more force, the other would perceive it as a challenge and respond with even greater force. It was a vicious cycle until... "Be gentle, you're hurting me," Hrisvitha said. "Oops." Although short, this oops was filled with Leon's pride and joy as the victor. Both of them simultaneously relaxed their grip, returning to the warm and tender hand-holding they started with. Hrisvitha had expected that the somewhat innocent gesture of holding hands would stir some feelings in Leon, perhaps even causing his dragon tattoo to light up. But unexpectedly, even as she herself started to feel a little ticklish from holding hands, the dragon tattoo on her chest remained unresponsive. Hrisvitha's mind raced, realizing that she had to make a move on Leon before she couldn't hold out any longer. "Oops," Hrisvitha suddenly exclaimed. Leon instinctively wanted to turn his head to look, but fortunately, he managed to control himself in time. There were no spiders here, so there must be something fishy about that exclamation. Leon wasn't going to fall for it. "My dragon tattoo lit up, haha, you lose," Hrisvitha declared triumphantly. Leon's heart skipped a beat, and he straightened up, looking towards Hrisvitha's chest. However, there was no reaction from the dragon tattoo. Instead, his gaze inadvertently lingered on the soft curves of Hrisvitha's chest. Under the black veil, those proud and full curves seemed almost ready to burst out, with the corner of the dragon tattoo delving deeper into the valley, sparking the imagination. "Like what you see," Hrisvitha teased. "Like what I see, what are you talking about? I didn't see anything." Leon quickly turned his head away. But that glance just now had certainly left him quite shaken. Hrisvitha's chest was nothing short of perfect, well-rounded, with distinct contours and just the right size. Leon tightly shut his eyes, shook his head, trying to expel that shocking scene from his mind. "It didn't even light up, you tricked me," he protested. "Maybe it'll light up if you keep looking," Hrisvitha said with a smirk. "Shut up, you evil dragon. I'm not going to look at your dragon tattoo anymore. Splish, splash. The sound of water grew louder as Risvitha approached Leon's side. The soft touch gently pressed against his arm as she leaned in close to his ear, speaking in a warm, gentle voice. Stop resisting, let it light up already, and let's end this torturous challenge. It's good for you and good for me too. After several rounds of teasing and scheming, it was now Risvitha's turn for her ambiguous seduction. Leon had anticipated this moment. Is it good? She lifted her hand, resting it on Leon's shoulder, her tone soft and alluring, making it hard not to waver. Leon's breath started to become heavy and rapid. He knew that if he didn't do something soon, Risvitha's dragon tattoo would inevitably light up. His brain raced. Faced with Risvitha's seduction, what should he do? What to do? Ding! Suddenly, Leon had an epiphany. Since no matter how he defended himself, he couldn't resist this mother dragon's ambiguous advances, then. As Leon turned around, he reached out and grabbed Risvitha's wrist. Risvitha was slightly startled. Before she could react, Leon gently lifted her chin with his other hand. With their upper bodies tightly pressed together in the hot spring, the couple locked eyes, and the atmosphere suddenly became ambiguous, as if the temperature had risen several degrees. Risvitha's pupils trembled slightly. Thump thump, was that Leon's heartbeat? No, that's not it. It was her own. It was her own heartbeat. Risvitha bit her lip, her pride as the Silver Dragon Queen, not allowing her to lose control of her desires. Just a flutter of the heart, there's nothing difficult to suppress. The feeling of restraint, isn't it uncomfortable? Leon whispered softly. Risvitha stared directly into his eyes, showing no signs of backing down. You're also trying hard to restrain yourself, don't think I can't see that. All right, then let's see who can hold out until the end. Do you think I'm afraid of you, Leon? However, things seemed to be unfolding in a direction they hadn't anticipated. The dragon tattoo on their chests began to flicker simultaneously. And this flickering wasn't continuous like usual. It was intermittent, like a faulty light bulb, flashing on and off. Both of them felt a pang of panic. What's going on? Leon asked. I don't know, Leon, eyes. After a brief moment of panic, they looked at each other again. In their black and silver eyes, there was a wave of desire and love for each other. The dragon tattoo were the switches of desire, and when the switch malfunctioned, desire would no longer be under control. The night was deep, the fireworks were bright, and they couldn't tell if the other had blushed or stirred with emotion, but one thing was certain, they both wanted to kiss each other's lips. Leon, Risvitha. She lifted her slender arms and embraced his sturdy back. Her cool and soft palm gently held the slender waist beneath the black veil, pulling her tightly into his arms. As the final cluster of fireworks burst in the sky, Leon leaned in to kiss the Silver Dragon Queen in front of him. Vol 1ch, 88. The next day. Knock, knock, knock. Daddy, Mommy, wake up, the sun is shining on our butts and tails. Knock, knock, knock. Nguyen had already knocked on the door several times, but there was no response from inside the house. Little dragon girl scratched her head and looked puzzledly at Noya. Sister, what's going on? Are they still sleeping? Noya crossed her arms, rubbing her chin, furrowing her brows in thought. According to their pattern of taking turns feeling unwell every now and then, who's next this time? Nguyen recalled, last time it was when we sent you, sister, to school. Dad said he stayed up late doing homework that night, so he felt tired and unwell. Noya nodded, analyzing with logical reasoning, then this time it should be Mom's turn. Nguyen pressed her little face, but even if it's Mom's turn this time and she can't get up, what about Dad? Dad's gone too. Sister, do we have to set up an offering for Dad again? Nguyen wants to eat steak this time. Noya lifted her hand and pressed down on her sister's wrist, then gently held her hand. It's okay, even if they don't get up, I can still take Nguyen out to play. Really, sister? Yes, let's go. Yay, Tilda. The two little dragon girls held hands and bounced out of the castle. Meanwhile, in the suite, after an unknown amount of time, Leon finally slowly woke up. His brain gradually powered on, followed by the sensation of soreness in his limbs. But luckily, Leon had grown accustomed to this feeling. He slowly sat up, rubbed his temples, and the memories of last night gradually emerged in his mind. Tusk, both of them managed to crash together. It seems like the challenge failed without even shining. He glanced sideways, seeing Rosvitha curled up, lying on her side, looking very comfortable. However, the strawberry marks on her neck and chest all indicated that she was even more comfortable last night. Looking at Rosvitha's sleeping face, Leon's gaze then fell on her lips, causing his cheeks to flush red involuntarily. Last night, he and Rosvitha truly, for the first time, kissed, excluding the confusion of blood's temptation. Recalling the scenes of their unrestrained kissing last night, Leon couldn't help but want to slap himself. Why did they even start the challenge of not shining? Now they had messed up, played too far, and it was awkward. Now in his Chronicles of a Captive, besides sleeping with dragons and breeding with dragons, he had to add kissing dragons. But on the other hand, a couple whose children were running around everywhere had just offered each other their first kiss yesterday. Apart from the awkwardness that was a bit hard to face, there was also a certain level of abstraction that was even harder to face. After resting for a while in bed, Leon gently lifted the covers and got out of bed. He went to the bathroom, freshened up quickly, then stood in front of the mirror, looking at the dragon tattoo on his chest. The dragon tattoo had already calmed down, showing no signs of any uncontrolled reactions. Leon sighed with relief. Muttering to himself, "You really got me this time." As he stepped out of the bathroom, Rosvitha was already dressed and sitting in front of the dressing table, tidying her hair. Leon hesitated for a moment, then gently closed the bathroom door. Neither of them spoke first as husband and wife. Rosvitha quietly did her hair and makeup while Leon walked to the side of the bed, opened the suitcase, and took out his change of clothes. After changing clothes, Rosvitha finished her grooming as well. Both husband and wife looked at each other spontaneously, but their eyes quickly averted when they made eye contact. It seemed that the first kiss amidst the confusion and enchantment of last night had also affected Rosvitha to a certain extent. She neither teased nor mocked Leon, nor did she pretend as if nothing had happened. The embarrassment and confusion she displayed were genuine, just like Leon's. Last night, she finally kissed this dragon slayer. Wait a minute. Why finally? Making her feel like she wanted to kiss Leon. It's all the dragon tattoo's fault. Leon scratched his head. Should we go out and find Noya and Muin? Rosvitha licked her lips, looking down at the tip of her shoe, quietly rubbing her fingers together. Okay. The couple arrived at the sisters' room, but there was no response to their knock. Did they go out to play by themselves? Leon said, "It's already past 10 in the morning." "Probably, let's go look for them," Rosvitha replied. They weren't very worried about their daughters encountering danger, especially with Noya around, and besides, this was a top-notch resort destination where there wouldn't be any dragon traffickers or other shady characters. Outside the castle, the sun was shining brightly. Everything was just like yesterday, fresh and beautiful. A few squirrels ran past Rosvitha's feet, and she turned her head to look in the direction they came from. Not far away, Muin was standing on the steps, holding a camera in her hand, apparently taking a photo for the couple in front of her. Noya was standing nearby, watching, so there didn't seem to be any danger. Leon and Rosvitha exchanged a glance, nodded to each other, and then walked over. "Noya, Muin," Leon called out their daughters' names. The two little ones turned their heads at the sound of their names. Muin waved the camera in her hand and said happily, "Good morning, Mom and Dad." Muin is helping Aunt Yuna and Uncle Zay take photos. "Yuna, Zay." Leon's gaze fell on the dragon couple in front of him. It must be them that Muin was referring to. The couple looked polite and refined. Well, it wasn't surprising. After all, most of the people who could come to the flowing Cloud Valley for vacation were of this caliber. The husband and wife approached, and Rosvitha reached out her hand, introducing herself. "Hello, we are the parents of these two children. I'm Rosvitha Melkvi, and this is my husband, Leon." Yuna immediately shook hands with Rosvitha, smiling in response. "I'm Yuna, and this is my husband, Zay. We're on our honeymoon. The scenery here is beautiful, so we wanted to take a few photos. When these two little ones passed by, we asked for their help." As soon as the conversation ended, Muin jumped down the steps, holding up her camera and opening the image projection to show Leon and Rosvitha the photos she had just taken. "Mom and Dad, what do you think of Muin's photos?" "Sweetie, I'm sure Muin took the best photos ever," Yuna said, crouching down to ruffle Muin's hair. Leon looked at the preview images projected by the magic. and although the lighting wasn't perfect, the composition was quite good. Besides, Muin probably hadn't used a camera many times before, so being able to take pictures to this level was already impressive. Yuna is right, Muin, you did a great job, Leon said, bending down, one hand supporting his knee while the other pinched Muin's chubby cheeks. Muin excitedly showed the photos to Noya as well, receiving her sister's praise as she had hoped. The two little ones happily continued, taking pictures of the scenery around them. Yuna glanced at the nearby seats and said, "Why don't we sit down and chat?" Sure. The four of them took their seats. Vol 1CH 89. Actually, my husband and I originally planned to go to the Azure Sea first, but we heard that there have been occasional conflicts among the dragon clans along that route recently. To avoid trouble, we decided at the last minute to come to Flowing Cloud Valley instead, Yuna explained. Conflicts among the dragon clans? Risvitha asked. Yes, it seems to be Constantine's tribe, right? I heard a while back that he wanted to expand his territory and was planning to absorb some smaller dragon clans, Yuna elaborated. Risvitha had indeed heard Isabella mention this matter before. She hadn't expected Constantine to act so quickly. Absorbing smaller, weaker branches of tribes was one of the main ways for dragon clans to expand their territories. The background story she had arranged for Leon was along these lines, saying that Leon came from a disbanded tribe and was taken in by Risvitha's Silver Dragon clan. Yuna waved her hand. Let's talk about your two little ones instead. My husband and I also want a cute child like yours, but we've always been quite confused about the idea of having children. Miss Risvitha, how did you and your husband decide to have children? The dragon race is a rather pure-blooded species. Generally speaking, refusing premarital sexual activities is considered pure enough, but dragons take it a step further by refraining from sexual activities altogether before marriage. This is because of their physiological characteristics. Once they engage in intercourse for the first time, pregnancy is inevitable, and no measures taken afterwards can prevent it. Most dragons choose to lay eggs because they don't want to be unexpectedly burdened with parenthood right after the deed, so they opt for self-reproduction instead. Of course, this was also why Leon was so sure, after using Blood's temptation on Risvitha, that my child is already taking root in your womb. So for newlywed couples like Yuna and Zay, who are together and planning to have children, feeling confused and puzzled about the idea of having children is quite normal. Now that they've finally caught Leon and Risvitha, they surely want to learn more about it. Unfortunately, the newlyweds had the right idea, but they picked the wrong targets. The two elders sitting here might have children, too, in fact, but is it possible that they just lost their first kiss last night? How did you decide to have children? Risvitha felt uncomfortable, not wanting to dwell on the past. She pursed her lips and struggled with her words. Actually, it was my husband who mentioned wanting to be a father at the time, and I didn't think much about it. I just agreed. High emotional intelligence. I didn't think much about it at the time. Low emotional intelligence. I was under the influence of Blood's temptation and didn't have a chance to think much. Leon silently covered his face. Although it sounded strange, it seemed to be the truth, and he didn't have the confidence to refute it. In matters like these, it's natural. There's no need to force yourself or your partner or feel afraid about it. Just let things happen naturally, Leon intervened, helping Risvitha along. Risvitha immediately felt relieved, and Yuna and Zay nodded thoughtfully. It's clear that Yuna really loves children. Otherwise, she wouldn't have called Muin sweetie just now. All we can do is wish the two of them to have children soon. After chatting for a while, Zay also brought up his own concern. Actually, Yuna and I have been together for many years, and we got to know each other before deciding to get married. But sometimes she can be a bit too dominant, and she knows this herself. We used to argue about this before we got married. Zay looked at Leon. Mr. Leon, I'd like to ask if you have any secrets to dealing with this kind of issue. Leon sat upright, looking serious. Mr. Zay, I'm sorry, but my wife Risvitha is the kind of delicate and charming type. Despite her tall stature and cold appearance, she actually likes to act cute and spoiled from time to time, so I might not be able to answer your question. This time it was Risvitha's turn to cover her face. Oh yes, I'm delicate and charming, I act cute and spoiled, and I won't argue with you. A hint of disappointment flashed in Zay's eyes. Oh, I see. But, Leon continued earnestly, Even if a woman is strong-willed, she will still show her softer side. Whenever that happens, no matter what kind of person you usually are, you should stand up firmly to defend your wife. I think that's what makes a responsible and good man. Hrisvitha silently looked at Ladon. His words reminded her of the day when Noya was brought home by the parents of a Red Flame Dragon clan member. When that guy was about to berate her and Noya, Leon stepped forward and, as he just said, firmly defended his wife and daughter. Perhaps in Leon's mind, family and marital relationships aren't that complicated after all. They are built on the foundation of a creed called responsibility, and everything else is built upon it, bit by bit. Leon was just such a pure and highly responsible person. Okay, thank you for your guidance, Mr. Leon, Zay nodded in appreciation. Leon waved his hand, no problem at all. They continued chatting for a while longer until Muin and Noya came running back, returning the camera to Yuna and Zay. Well then, until we meet again, Yuna said. Until we meet again. Goodbye, Aunt Yuna. Goodbye, Uncle Zay, Muin waved. Goodbye, Aunt and Uncle, Noya added politely. Goodbye, little ones. Yuna waved back, linking her arm with Zay's as they walked away. The newlyweds laughed and joked, teasing each other, occasionally lightly bumping shoulders. Leon and Hrisvitha watched this scene, feeling as if they were seeing their own reflections. With that thought, they glanced at each other, then quickly looked away again. There was still some uncertainty about how to face each other. After the 7-day hot spring trip, life returned to normal. However, since their return, the couple seemed to deliberately avoid each other. They even skipped Hrisvitha's usual 3 days of rest routine. The night they lost their first kiss in the haze of emotions and confusion had subtly influenced their mindset. That evening, Hrisvitha stood on the balcony, sipping wine and enjoying the breeze. Suddenly, she heard a sound behind her. Your Majesty, there's news, Shirley said. Hrisvitha turned around. Have you found the Teg couple? They've been found, Shirley replied. Hrisvitha's eyes lit up and she quickly asked, what exactly is the situation? They have left the Empire. I stumbled upon their hiding place while circling the outskirts of the Empire. It would have been difficult to find the location without flight capability. No flight capability, and it's difficult to find that place. Then how did he and his wife get there? Shirley shook her head, swallowing nervously, her expression slightly odd. Hrisvitha approached, setting down her wine glass and gently placing her hand on Shirley's shoulder. Take your time, tell me slowly. Shirley composed herself and continued, Your Majesty, I can sense that man named Tega is very powerful, so powerful that he's on a completely different level from other dragon slayers. When he found me, he could have easily killed me. Hearing this, Hrisvitha couldn't help but sigh. Leon's master was indeed not just an ordinary farmer, as he had claimed. But after he realized I was a silver dragon, he didn't attack. Instead, he said. What did he say? He wants to see you. Vol 1ch, 90. Do we meet or not? Of course, it's seeing. 2 silvery figures flashed past under the full moon. Your Majesty, ahead is the border of Constantine's territory. There have been occasional internal conflicts among dragon clans recently. Just to be safe, shall we take a detour? Shirley flew by Hrisvitha's side, suggesting. All right. They adjusted their direction and circumvented the territory ahead. If it weren't for needing Shirley to lead the way, Hrisvitha could have even traveled alone, quietly coming and quietly going, without causing any commotion. Unfortunately, Shirley mentioned that Teg's hiding place was too secretive. It would be difficult to find it based solely on verbal descriptions. Moreover, Teg had set up shielding spells all around, rendering any tracking magic or recording stones ineffective within its range. Shirley had been flying aimlessly at the time and stumbled upon it by pure chance. So this journey had to be led by her. Listening to Shirley's description, Hrisvitha became even more curious about Leon's master. Previously, Hrisvitha's understanding of the master was limited to Leon's casual remarks. Living within the lines, the impression of the master Hrisvitha received was that of a mischievous old man, reliable in critical moments despite being usually carefree, and an ordinary farmer who knows a little basic magic. However, it was evident that someone who could find a concealed hiding place and set up shielding spells around it would not be simple. Moreover, Shirley mentioned last night that Teg could easily kill her. Although Shirley excelled in infiltration and gathering intelligence, she was relatively weaker in combat. However, she was still one of Rosvitha's confidants. Even the current top dragon slayers among humans might not be able to easily kill her. If one couldn't win, couldn't they at least escape? But Teg had indeed made Shirley feel panicked. Who is this old man? Shirley, accelerate. Yes, Your Majesty. Two figures streaked across the sky at extreme speed, heading towards the border of humanity. Due to a detour, they had to fly several extra hours than usual. By the time they reached the border between humans and dragons, dawn was approaching. Rosvitha and Shirley also activated their invisibility magic. Without the cover of night, it was better to be cautious. Follow me, Your Majesty. All right. Shirley adjusted her angle and flew towards a mountain gorge below. The two landed at the top of the gorge and looked down. The entire gorge was steep and rugged, with several small waterfalls cascading down from the top to the bottom. The river at the bottom of the gorge was even more turbulent. If a human fell in carelessly, they would be swept away in the blink of an eye. Shirley pointed to a waterfall halfway down the gorge. The Teg couple is behind that waterfall. Your Majesty, he said he only wants to see you. I can only wait for Your Majesty here. All right, if I haven't returned in an hour, you know what to do. Yes, Your Majesty, please be extra careful. Rosvitha nodded and then, in human form, spread her dragon wings and flew slowly towards the waterfall. As Shirley had said, they were hidden behind the waterfall. It would be difficult to find and reach them without the ability to fly. Moreover, as soon as she entered the gorge, Rosvitha keenly sensed a slight limitation on her magical abilities. While normal magic flow was unaffected, some auxiliary and tracking spells seemed less effective. The shielding enchantments were already active from this point. Rosvitha gently flapped her dragon wings, creating a gust of air to deflect the water as she passed through the waterfall, avoiding getting wet. Behind the waterfall was an artificial cave, neatly arranged. Various wooden chairs, wardrobes, beds, and a simple kitchen inside indicated that someone was living here, and seemed to be living quite comfortably. However, there was no one here. But in the next moment, the scene in front of Rosvitha began to distort. When the distortion and changes ceased, there stood an elderly man with silver hair at the table and chairs. However, the term elderly might not quite capture his demeanor. Despite appearing to be around 50 years old in human terms, he exuded a remarkably calm and intimidating aura without doing anything, even in the presence of the Silver Dragon Queen standing before him. His slightly clouded eyes gazed at Rosvitha, creating a subtle pressure on her. Countless dragon slayers had fallen under the Silver Dragon Queen's dragonfire, but only one was special, Leon. He was the only opponent Rosvitha found formidable, and if it weren't for the sneak attack back then, Leon might have led his team to break through her Silver Dragon Temple. Now his master, Teg Lawrence, possessed almost the same charisma and presence as Leon did back then. Rosvitha also noticed that before the distortion, there were only a few teacups on the table, but now, a slender longsword appeared there conspicuously. The blade emitted a chilling and solemn light, its hilt positioned within reach of the old man's hand, signifying his readiness to draw the sword and strike at Rosvitha at any moment. He was well prepared, the magic shielding, the distorted illusions, and for a dragon slayer, an essential weapon, and these were just what Rosvitha could see within her gaze. There were likely many more preparations hidden from view. Teg locked eyes with Rosvitha for a moment before speaking slowly. How is Leon? Rosvitha was slightly taken aback by the directness of the question, causing her a momentary pause. After regaining her composure, she nodded. He is alive. It's been 2 years, I've been waiting. Rosvitha's thoughts stirred, quickly understanding the deeper meaning behind Teg's words. You did this intentionally. Teg nodded. Yes, I've been banking on this opportunity today. Leon had disappeared during the crucial battle against the Silver Dragon clan 2 years ago. The battle report claimed he died, but there was no body to be found. If there's even a glimmer of hope for Leon to be alive, it's likely tied to the Dragon clan. That's why Teg has been waiting for a long time, and finally, he got the opportunity to draw out this Dragon King. Aren't you afraid of losing the bet? Rosvitha asked. It's more accurate to say that I already considered him dead, Teg replied. In fact, many years ago, the first time Teg saw Leon, he knew that Leon wouldn't stay by his side for long. When he was 10, Teg sent Leon to the academy. Since then, every encounter felt like their last. Teg's gaze met Hrisvitha's directly. Hrisvitha could somewhat glean from Teg's eyes what he was currently concerned about, so she spoke up. In these 2 years, Leon has never given up. That's to be expected. It sounds like you know him quite well, Teg remarked. Naturally, his only identity now is my prisoner. Every day enjoying the top-tier treatment as my prisoner in the Silver Dragon Temple. Oh well, I can't really say he's freeloading. At least Leon still pays his rent, Hrisvitha remarked. Upon hearing this, Teg snorted and muttered, "Stubborn brat, 2 years and still so defiant. How much suffering does he have to endure in enemy hands?" Then changing the subject, he continued, "Anyway, knowing that he's still alive puts my mind at ease." After a pause, he asked again, "What deal did you two strike?" It was not surprising that Leon would find a way to contact Hrisvitha, but why would the Silver Dragon Queen lend a hand? There had to be a reason behind it. Hrisvitha assessed the old man before her. He was like an agging lion, his claws and ferocity undiminished despite the sharpness of Time's blade. Yet he still had a soft side, and that was Leon. Hrisvitha could sense his care and restraint towards Leon. Care because he was the genius dragon slayer he had raised from childhood. Restraint because of the long-standing conflict between their two races, making it difficult for them to converse as old friends would. But the fact that they didn't immediately clash upon meeting was already a positive sign. Although they couldn't achieve complete calmness, being able to calmly chat here about the same man was rare indeed. Should one say that the current situation was special, or that the man they were discussing was special? To fulfill his request, Leon has already paid the corresponding price, Hrisvitha replied. In that case, knowing him as I do, he must have tried every means to escape back to the Empire before making this request, Teg commented. Oh, he did more than try, he never stopped for a single day. Hrisvitha nodded, he has been attempting but has continuously failed. Teg didn't express any opinion on this. As long as the brat was alive, that was good enough. Starting from now and for at least a year, if you let Leon escape back to the Empire, it would only prove that your entire Silver Dragon clan is useless, Teg said. Hrisvitha raised an eyebrow. While she never intended to let Leon go, Teg's statement was indeed peculiar. Knowing her protégé was alive, he not only didn't rush to rescue him, but also seemed to prefer him staying in enemy hands longer. You're provoking us, Hrisvitha's tone grew colder. You coming alone implies you don't want to engage in combat with me, even if it were to come to that. Teg remained composed, casually stroking the hilt of the sword on the table, a confidence he had accumulated over many years. The reason for not letting him come back. No comment, Teg replied. Hrisvitha narrowed her eyes, observing the human before her. Decisive, powerful with his own logic and principles, strong enough to stand firm even against a dragon king, the master of Leon and the man before her were completely different. After a brief moment of eye contact, Hrisvitha nodded. Since the other party refused so decisively, she didn't intend to pursue the matter further. Regardless whether it's been a year or even 10 years of capturing Leon, she had no issue with it. It might even be a lifetime, but even so, she wouldn't engage in a losing deal. Not letting Leon return to the Empire within a year is fine, but I have a condition, Hrisvitha stated. Name your price, Teg responded, unsurprised. The Silver Dragon Queen wore her trademark smirk. Tell me more about Leon, especially his childhood. Vol 1ch, 91. Leon's childhood. Teg's originally meticulous face revealed a hint of confusion and surprise. He anticipated that Hrisvitha might mention some conditions or requests, but this so-called price, what was it for? What kind of life was that brat living over there? Hrisvitha said no more, patiently awaiting the impending feast. Teg released the handle of the knife in his hand. Your request is rather peculiar. Hrisvitha smiled. Isn't yours peculiar as well? Indeed, the things they wanted to exchange were all abnormal to begin with. The master hoped that the disciple would die again outside, while the enemy wanted to learn about the captive's childhood. However, since it had come to this, there was no need to ponder further. Let's just make the exchange directly. Teg breathed a sigh of relief, scratching the white hair at his temple. All right, wait here. With that said, Teg turned around, walked to the bedside, bent down, and pulled out a large wooden box from under the bed. He took out some papers and drawings from it, placing them all on the table. Risvitha was slightly surprised. Goodness, did he actually keep so much dark history? Leon probably never imagined that in addition to being betrayed by his former comrades on the battlefield, he would also be betrayed by his master in private. Tragic. Poor Casmode was either being betrayed or on the way to being betrayed. These are all the love letters Leon received from enrollment to graduation. I kept them all for him. Teg said solemnly, originally, these were meant for his future wife to see, but since his fate is now in your hands, you have the final say. With that, Teg pushed a stack of love letters in front of Risvitha. Ha, so you've also been through this ordeal. Risvitha looked at the pile of love letters before her, thinking back to how Leon must have felt when he saw the stash of love letters Isabella had saved up. It must have brought him such joy. As Risvitha flipped through the letters, filled with overly sentimental content, she couldn't help but smile. And this one is a rather special love letter, Teg said, holding up a white envelope. Oh, how so? Risvitha looked up. With other girls, he'd reject them in a second, not even bothering to give a reason. But with the girl who sent this letter, he hesitated for a full 5 seconds before rejecting her. The master said, do you know how important 5 seconds is to him? His exact words were, why waste 5 seconds rejecting someone? I could use those 5 seconds to memorize another alchemical formula, do a few more push-ups and pull-ups. So this girl is very, very special. Was she very beautiful? Very beautiful, silver hair, tall, likes to wear high heels and dresses, gives off the impression of being icy. Risvitha narrowed her eyes suspiciously, finding it hard not to suspect that Teg was describing her appearance. It wasn't until he pulled out a portrait from a pile of sketches, a portrait that was so hilariously inaccurate. Well, let's just call it a portrait, because you could barely make out the eyes, nose, ears and mouth, that Risvitha couldn't help but burst into laughter. This is a portrait Leon drew of his dream girl when he was 6 years old. She shares distinct physical features with the girl he rejected 5 seconds later, 10 years later. There was a pause, and then Teg suddenly tilted his head slightly, looking Risvitha up and down as if he had just realized something, but he seemed reluctant to say it out loud. It's like it's right in front of me, even though it's far away. Although he knew his disciple was bold, it shouldn't be to the extent of what he was thinking, right? Risvitha looked at the abstract portrait, silently knotting it in her mind. Even though she was laughing inside, she kept a straight face. Just these aren't enough, Risvitha said. Is there anything else, like what foods he hates, where he dislikes being touched, or any deep-seated aversions he has? Having finally met the captive's relative, it was only natural to gather some dirt on the captive. How else would they control him in the future? Teg thought for a moment before replying. He hates carrots and eggplants. Carrots he can tolerate, but eggplants make him faint before he even eats them. Faint before eating them. Isn't that a bit exaggerated? It's a bit exaggerated. But ever since Leon enlisted, the Empire's Dragon Slayer army's instant meal packs have removed eggplants. Do you know why? As expected, behind every bizarre rule, there's an even more bizarre reason. All right, I understand, Risvitha said. Teg folded his arms across his chest, carefully recalling more dirt on his disciple. For some reason, even though this was a trade with a dragon, he found himself enjoying it. After all, as Leon grew older, the opportunities to prank him were becoming fewer and fewer. The cave was suddenly filled with a cheerful atmosphere, and the tense and oppressive atmosphere seemed to lighten unconsciously. As for places he dislikes being touched, it's his waist, it's particularly sensitive, Teg said. As for deep-seated aversions, I can't think of any at the moment, but I can tell you something similar. All right. At 2:30 in the morning, if he's in a light sleep, you can ask him any question. Whatever he says at that moment is definitely what's on his mind. After a pause, the master added, he even sleepwalks occasionally, following your commands. It's not 100% guaranteed though, it takes a bit of luck. Anyway, I used this trick to make him do a lot of farm work in the past. Wow, afraid of eggplants, sensitive waist, and even playing truth or dare unconsciously during sleep. Why did it feel like the strongest dragon slayer, who could scorch the heavens, scorch the earth, and even scorch the air in between, had all these strange weaknesses? No wonder his past enemies couldn't defeat him. All right, I've remembered all of that, Risvitha said, though she still felt it wasn't quite enough. Thinking for a moment, she took out a photo from her waist and waved it in her hand. "This is a recent photo of Leon. I'll add some more if you raise the price," Risvitha said. Teg grinned. "You did come prepared. Returning empty-handed isn't my style." Teg glanced at the photo again. "Is that really a recent photo of Leon?" "You're tempted, so give me the information I want," Risvitha said. "If you don't, I won't show you a photo of your beloved disciple." Teg scratched his head, looking somewhat conflicted. It wasn't because he was having trouble finding dirt on Leon. But the dirt he had in mind was a bit too explosive. After much contemplation, Teg sighed. Forget it. In order to let that brat continue freeload for at least another year, Teg, on behalf of Leon, was going all out. "Wait here," Teg said, turning around and heading deeper into the cave. Clatter, clatter. Moments later, strange footsteps echoed. Following the sound, Risvitha looked over. Black, long-eared, four-legged, with a tail. Risvitha gasped in shock. She had just been curious earlier when Shirley mentioned that when Leon's master and his family left the Empire, they sold everything and only took their donkey with them. But after chatting with Teg for half a day, she hadn't seen any sign of a donkey. It turned out to be waiting here for the climax. Truly, seeing is believing. The donkey, which had lived in the lines and occupied much of Leon's early life, was led by Teg in front of Risvitha. From childhood to adulthood, Leon has tamed many poultry and dangerous creatures, but he never managed to tame our donkey. And, if you carefully touch his nose, you'll notice some slight indentations. That's from the first time he tried to nail the donkey's hooves when he was a child, and the donkey kicked him. So nailing hooves actually happened. Risvitha had thought Leon was just teasing her with that. Since then, he's been on the path of trying to tame the donkey, but failing forever. Teg said Leon considers the failure to tame this donkey as a blot on his otherwise glorious life, so he's never mentioned it to anyone. That's the most explosive piece of dirt I can think of. Risvitha took a deep breath, slowly accepting and digesting the enmity between Leon and the donkey. "All right, I understand. That's enough. Here's the photo for you." Risvitha placed the photo on the table, but she didn't immediately move her hand away. "I still need some memento from you or something else, anything that proves you're still alive." "I've already prepared it." Teg opened a drawer and took out a letter, handing it to Risvitha. "Give him this letter and he'll know." Risvitha took the letter. "All right." With the negotiation and transaction concluded, Risvitha turned and walked to the cave exit. She glanced back, speaking coldly. "This may be our first and last meeting. For Leon, I want more than just a year." With that, she spread her dragon wings, shook off the waterfall, and flew away slowly. Teg breathed a sigh of relief and then picked up the photo pinned to the table. Then his eyes widened involuntarily. Defeated in battle and captured for 2 years, that rascal actually fathered twins with the Silver Dragon Queen. What kind of prisoner of war unfolds like this? Isn't this a bit too abstract? Getting older, he couldn't handle this kind of shock. "You brat, I thought I'd be the most outrageous dragon slayer, but are you even outdoing me in this aspect? Is Leon okay?" A woman's voice came from behind. She had been there all along, just not visible. Teg turned around and handed the photo to the woman. "I feel like just saying good wouldn't be enough to describe his current life." The woman looked at the photo, her pupils trembling slightly. After a brief moment of excitement, she quickly composed herself. "Have you also made up your mind?" After a moment of silence, the former dragon slayer replied slowly, "There's no reason to hesitate." Teg Lawrence picked up the dagger from the table, his gaze firm as he looked into the distance. "Consider it a gift for the granddaughter's reunion." Vol 1ch 92. In the evening, Leon sat at his desk lost in thought. The mother dragon had been gone for the entire day. When Leon hadn't seen her all morning, he couldn't help but feel excited. He thought she might have gone to patrol the border or meet with other dragon kings. In the past, she would be gone for 2 or 3 days at a time. And at times like these, the entire Silver Dragon Temple belonged to him, the Dragon Slayer, Casmode. He could come and go as he pleased, without having to report to the mother dragon where he was going or what he was doing. He could even arrange for the kitchen to make more of the grilled steaks that Muin loved to eat, and he didn't have to do his homework. But it wasn't until he saw Anna and the other dragon maids at lunch that he realized this time Rosvitha had left alone. In other words, this time she had gone by herself. Leon's excitement gradually subsided as the afternoon sun began to set. By evening, he inexplicably felt anxious and uneasy. There was a sense of emptiness, like finally making it to the graduation vacation, intending to have a blast for 2 months, but after just 2 days of excitement, feeling bored and idle. So after dinner, he casually approached Anna and asked, "Anna, is Noya going home in a few days?" As Anna tidied up the dining table, she replied, "Yes, Your Highness will soon see Princess Noya again." "Oh, did Rosvitha say she was going to make something Noya likes to eat?" "No, Princess Noya isn't picky, which makes His Majesty feel relieved." "Is that so?" Leon scratched his forehead and asked again, "Speaking of which, Noya seems quite similar to Rosvitha in terms of not being picky about food, huh?" Anna blinked and thought for a moment. "Not entirely. Your Majesty doesn't seem to like cilantro very much." "Oh, I see. I didn't expect Rosvitha to be picky too. That's unlike her." The dragon maid suddenly stopped tidying up the dining table and stood up straight, looking at Leon. "Your Highness, do you have something you want to ask me?" Leon was startled, thinking that his little scheme had been exposed so quickly. "Oh no, it's nothing, just casual conversation." Leon pretended to be nonchalant, then quickly changed his tone and asked seriously, "But since you mentioned it, I really want to ask, do you know where Rosvitha went?" "Kazmode, you're out of ideas now." Upon hearing this, Anna covered her mouth and chuckled lightly, then shook her head. "I don't know either, Your Highness." "But you're her head maid, how could you not know?" "Oh dear, Your Highness, why are you in such a hurry? The Queen is a grown woman, she couldn't possibly get lost, could she?" "Anna, even as the head maid, there are some things that I'm not allowed to inquire about. Her Majesty might be inspecting the tribes, or attending some secret meeting, but if Your Highness really wants to know, you can wait for Her Majesty to return and ask her directly." "Ask her directly? But we haven't spoken for many days. What if she misunderstands my intentions?" Leon scratched his head. "Well, you can go ahead and continue with your tasks." "All right, Your Highness, get some rest. Her Majesty might be back a little later tonight." Leon waved his hand and left the dining room. He returned to his nursery, continuing to wait silently. However, even until 10 o'clock in the evening, he still hadn't seen a trace of the mother dragon. As time passed by, Leon hugged himself, rubbing his eyes. He continued to ponder over things that he hadn't been able to figure out for hours. During dinner, Anna mentioned that Rosvitha might have gone to inspect the tribes. This was something Leon knew. It was normal for Rosvitha, as the leader of the Silver Dragons, to regularly inspect her subjects and tribes. But in the past, she would always bring her maidens or some trusted aides with her when she went on these inspections. However, this time, she had left alone. Could it be that even the Silver Dragon Queen enjoyed clandestine visits and disguised checks? There was a sense of beauty in inspecting the grassroots secretly under the leadership of the imperial family. Or perhaps, as Anna suggested, she had gone to attend a secret meeting of some dragon clan. But what could this meeting be about? Leon's thoughts drifted, recalling the newlywed couple he had met by chance a few days ago in the flowing Cloud Valley, Yuna and Zay. In their conversation, Leon unexpectedly learned that a dragon king named Constantine had been annexing some weak and small dragon clans recently, causing numerous small-scale wars and conflicts in order to expand his territory. However, in the Dragon's Tales of Wisdom, that Leon had previously explained to Muin, Constantine was depicted as a hero who expanded the territory for the dragon race. In other words, the achievements of this flame dragon king might not be for the greater good of the dragon race, but rather to satisfy his own thirst for power. Now that he had caused such a big commotion, it wasn't entirely impossible for Rosvitha, as the Silver Dragon Queen, to secretly attend a meeting of clan leaders to discuss Constantine's recent actions. However, even if it were a secret meeting, wouldn't she at least bring a guard with her? So either there was no secret meeting at all, or the level of secrecy surrounding this meeting was such that only dragon kings could participate. Leon scratched his head, feeling utterly clueless. Everything was just wild speculation and unfounded guesses. As the night grew deeper and drowsiness washed over him, Leon yawned. His gaze fell upon the small bear on the table. It was the one Rosvitha had won for him from a claw machine in the flowing Cloud Valley, saying it was a return gift. Despite its size being much smaller than the large bear he had given her initially, Leon dared not refuse her gracious gift. When he returned, Leon had initially thought to place the bear on his bed, but upon second thought, he felt it might be too girlish for a grown man to have a bear on his bed, so he ended up putting it on his desk. Leon reached out and picked up the small bear, looking at its 2 black eyes. Unconsciously, he chuckled softly. Disappeared without a word for so long, he muttered, then set the bear down and moved to the recliner on the balcony, gazing at the deep night sky and the Milky Way suspended in the heavens. After a while, he slowly closed his eyes. It was precisely at that moment, as he closed his eyes, that a faint purple light flashed across his chest, fleeting in an instant. At this moment, the Silver Dragon Queen was still on her way back. As she flew, Hrisvitha suddenly felt something strange, and her speed abruptly slowed down. "What's wrong, Your Majesty?" Shirley asked hurriedly. "It's nothing." Indeed, there was nothing wrong. That strange sensation just now came and went so quickly that Hrisvitha didn't even have time to figure out what it was before it disappeared. Well, it was probably just because they had been flying for too long. Calculating the time, she and Shirley still had a few more hours of flight before they could return to the Silver Dragon Temple. By then, they would have been out for 2 days and 2 nights. Muin would be fine. Hrisvitha had been away on business trips before, often returning after 2 or 3 days. But that guy Leon couldn't go a day without causing a stir. Thinking of this, Hrisvitha flapped her wings, accelerating towards the direction of the temple. Shirley hesitated for a moment, then quickly flapped her wings as well. Your Majesty, wait for me, I can't catch up with you." The next morning, Leon was awakened by Muin shaking him. Daddy, why are you sleeping on the balcony? You'll catch a cold." Leon groggily opened his eyes, feeling a chill, and sneezed. "Oh, Daddy, are you really catching a cold?" Muin asked worriedly. Leon wrapped his coat tighter around himself. "It's okay, I'm fine, I'll be better in a moment." Muin scratched her head. "Daddy, why were you sleeping on the balcony last night?" Leon took a moment to collect his thoughts, then remembered. Last night, he had lain on the recliner, counting stars while waiting for the lights on the neighboring balcony to turn on. Their room was adjacent to Hrisvitha's, so as soon as Hrisvitha returned and turned on the lights, he could see her from the balcony. Anna had mentioned that Hrisvitha might return a little later. Unfortunately, even until the early hours of the morning, the lights next door remained off. Leon had unknowingly fallen asleep. Oh, Daddy must have been too tired last night and forgot to come back to the room to sleep. Leon hugged Muin. "Mommy wasn't home all day yesterday. Do you know where she went?" "Daddy." "Yeah. You've asked me this question 3 times already yesterday. Muin really doesn't know." "Did I ask so many times?" Muin nodded earnestly, counting on her fingers one by one, once after lunch, once when we went running together, and once before dinner. "Daddy, you don't need to worry so much about Mommy. She used to go out for business often, and she always came back after a day or 2. Leon cleared his throat awkwardly. "Ahem, okay, Daddy will listen to you." As he spoke, the sound of guards came from the front courtyard of the temple. "Your Majesty, you've returned." Hearing this, Leon stood up with Muin in his arms and looked down from the balcony. Hrisvitha had indeed returned, accompanied by a silver dragon maiden Leon hadn't seen before. "Look, Mommy's back," Muin pointed below. Leon's thoughts stirred slightly. "Muin, Mommy was gone for 2 days. Did you miss her?" "Of course, I missed her a lot." "Then let Daddy teach you a phrase, and when you learn it, you can say it to Mommy to make her happy." Muin's eyes lit up. Okay. A moment later, Muin ran out of the temple and dashed towards Hrisvitha. "Mommy Tilda." "Good morning, Muin." Hrisvitha crouched down and hugged her daughter. "Did you behave and eat on time at home?" Well. Muin took a step back, stood up straight, and with her tail slightly raised, she said, "Mommy, where did you go all day yesterday? Why were you gone for so long? Why didn't you tell me beforehand?" There was a hint of rehearsed tone in Muin's voice, and this classic Inspection 3 didn't seem like something she would ask, did it? Hrisvitha thought for a moment, then looked up. She caught a glimpse of someone's face on the balcony of the nursery. Very quickly it disappeared. Vol 1ch 93. Hrisvitha withdrew her gaze. Mewen, have you not played with Shirley for a long time? Yes, yeah. The little dragon princess tiptoed and looked at Shirley behind Rosvitha. Long time no see, Sister Shirley. Shirley waved back, long time no see, princess. Then let Sister Shirley play with you for a while. Mommy has some things to take care of. Okay, Tilda. Mewen bypassed Rosvitha and ran over to Shirley. Shirley ruffled her hair and then looked at Rosvitha. You've been through a lot lately, so take a rest. Yes, Your Majesty. With that, Shirley bent down, picked up Mewen and said, Your Highness, let's go pick some fruits in the garden. Okay, Tilda. Shirley carried Mewen away. Rosvitha glanced up at the balcony and chuckled. You, my dear, I know all your weaknesses now. Next, you won't be able to handle what's coming. With determined steps, the queen walked into the temple. Knock, knock, knock. Leon froze for a moment, then hesitantly walked to the door. Now, the elusive enemy that had troubled him for a day and night was just behind that door. All he had to do was open it, and he would see. Leon pursed his lips, contemplating his opening lines for a moment. Should he casually say, Good morning, or should he smoothly skip over the fact that she had been gone for a day and 2 nights? As he pondered, a voice from outside the door interrupted. I know you're standing at the door, so open it. Leon sighed and raised his hand to open the door. After returning from the flowing cloud valley, it had been several days since Leon and Rosvitha had faced each other in such close proximity again. Leon scrutinized her. She looked a bit tired. Had she flown for a long time? Despite the slight fatigue, there was still a hint of happiness and joy on Rosvitha's face. Was going out for a trip really worth being this happy about? So, did the progress of the secret dragon meeting go smoothly? Did she get the results she wanted? Or did she meet someone in secret? While Leon was lost in thought, Rosvitha had already stepped inside. Why are you so sluggish? Leon snapped out of his thoughts and closed the door. You've been away for a day and a night, and the first thing you do when you come back is knock on my door. Shouldn't I prepare my opening lines seriously? So, is this your seriously prepared opening line? No, actually, what I prepared was, Welcome back, Your Majesty. Thank you for remembering that there are a few people at home waiting for you to feed them. Rosvitha chuckled. Why do you seem so concerned about me not being home yesterday? Are you missing me? Me missing you? What would a dragon slayer like me want with a dragon like you? Leon replied. If I were to miss you, it would be to know your whereabouts so you wouldn't ambush me out of the blue. HMPH, fine then. I was actually going to share with you what I saw and heard these past 2 days, but I didn't expect you to be so wary of me. You've really hurt my feelings. Well, I don't feel like sharing with you anymore. Bye. With that, Rosvitha turned to leave, but the next second she stopped in her tracks. The belt of her skirt was gently tugged. The force was minimal, and if Rosvitha wanted to walk away, she could easily do so. But if she walked away just like that, knowing the stubbornness of someone, he wouldn't even chase after her if it meant holding back his words. After a moment, a hesitant voice came from behind. Where did you go yesterday? Rosvitha turned back, smiling meaningfully. Do you want to know? He nodded. She beckoned with her finger. Come closer and I'll tell you. Intuition and experience told Leon that this was a trick, but curiosity compelled him to take a step forward. By the time he regretted it, he was already standing in front of Rosvitha. Rosvitha pinched his ear with a playful smile, leaned in close to his face, and lightly brushed his nose with her hand. Yes, his master hadn't lied. It did seem a bit concave. Then she teased in a soft voice, I'm not going to tell you. Why don't you guess for yourself? Leon shook his head to shake off Rosvitha's hand and hastily took 2 steps back. I knew you were playing tricks on me. I won't bother asking. You're my prisoner of war. Why do I have to tell you where I went? She laughed, as if she was eagerly anticipating Leon's reaction after hearing her response. Leon also realized that Rosvitha was only here to confront him, because she noticed his slight panic and worry earlier. Mother Dragon, between the truth of the matter and confronting you, my choice is definitely confronting you. But your captive is a dragon slayer who can kill most of your forces without relying on magic. Are you really so confident to run out on your own without explaining anything? Leon stared into her silver eyes. Being so careless, be careful of me. What will you do, HM? Rosvitha stepped forward, interrupting Leon's chant. She even deliberately thrust her chest forward, forcing Leon to step back again. Wells, what would you do? Damn, how can such a pretty face exude such an intimidating aura? It's simply unfair. Because his spell chant was interrupted, Leon's momentum was lacking, and in the end, he could only squeeze out, "I'll make sure Muin eats steak for all 3 meals." Risvitha chuckled, "Let's not involve our daughter in our quarrels." After a moment's thought, she added, "But you're right, I should take precautions. I'll remember that next time." She trailed off, deliberately leaving it hanging. Leon raised an eyebrow. "Notify me." "Lock you up." "Really, Mother Dragon?" "All right, I do have something secret to take care of, nothing dangerous." To be honest, meeting a former top dragon slayer alone is indeed somewhat risky, but Risvitha currently has no intention of telling Leon about his master. Play first and talk later. Besides, the master is currently safe, and Risvitha just wants to take advantage of these days to put into practice the Leon Casmode's weakness checklist she recently acquired. Come on, back when they were at the eldest sister's house, not only did this guy see her past, but he also scared her with spiders, causing her to reveal a side of the queen unknown to others. These black histories are definitely powerful weapons for Leon to dig into Risvitha's heart in their future spousal routine. And Risvitha is well aware that the only way to shut Leon up is to retaliate with the same tactics. So, regarding the matter of the master, I know you're eager, but don't rush it. Let me rush first. All right, Leon said. Risvitha nodded, not saying anything more. The couple fell silent for a moment. Although she plans to retaliate with Leon's past, she can't be too aggressive about it. A perfect social death process requires brewing, foreplay, development before reaching the climax. Risvitha needs to patiently wait for the opportunity to let her little captive step into the trap she has set. And until that opportunity arises, their state seems to be like not knowing how to look each other in the eye because they accidentally gave their first kiss to each other. After a brief silence, Risvitha said, "Have you had breakfast?" "No," Leon replied. "All right, I'll go call Muin. Let's have breakfast together later." "Oh, okay. I'll let you know when it's ready," Leon nodded. Risvitha then left the nursery and returned to her room to prepare breakfast. It's safe to say that the queen is truly the queen, flying home all night and still having the energy to make breakfast. She tied on her apron, washed and chopped vegetables, lit the fire, everything was done methodically. Beef sandwiches for Muin, bread and milk for me and the captive, and then a salad. Cucumber, tomato, onion, and some salad dressing. Where's the salad dressing? Risvitha opened the pantry and searched for it. Oh, here it is. She reached for the bottle of salad dressing. However, just as she was about to grab the dressing, she noticed a few carrots next to it. Risvitha blinked, a smile appearing on her face. Balanced nutrition is important, Dragon Slayer. Vol 1ch 94. More than half an hour later, Leon went to Risvitha's room. Just as Muin returned, he was helping to bring dishes from the kitchen. Leon hurried over and took the plate from Muin's hand. "Go wait for dinner, Muin. I'll take it from here." "Okay, thanks, Dad." With a plate of sandwiches and several cups of milk in hand, Leon was about to leave the kitchen when he noticed a dish covered with a lid on the counter. He gestured towards it with his lips. "Do I need to bring that up too?" Risvitha glanced over while washing her hands and replied, "Not for now, just bring what you have." "All right." As Leon brought the dishes to the table, Muin had already tied his bib and was ready to eat. "Sandwich, yay," Muin cheered, holding up his fork. Leon placed the sandwich in front of Muin. For himself and Risvitha, breakfast consisted of simple milk and bread. Well, it was said to be simple, but it wasn't really that simple. Dragon milk was top-notch stuff. Unlike humans who used regular cows for milk, they used ironhide yaks. Those things were genuinely S-class dangerous species. While for other races, hunting them was a challenge, an honor, a feat. For dragons, they were a source of delicious beef products. The nutritional value of the milk produced by ironhide yaks was several times that of ordinary milk. Thanks to this, Leon's body was able to recover so quickly. After Risvitha finished washing her hands, she also came to the table. She took off her apron, rolled up her sleeves, and tidied her hair. "All right, let's eat." "Dinner time," Muin eagerly grabbed the sandwich and started cutting it with his knife. The couple, with a silent understanding, pushed some side dishes towards Muin's side of the table. The young dragon girl, being quite young, naturally couldn't notice the subtle details between her parents, but she knew that as long as she ate heartily, her parents would be happy. She ate her sandwich while poking at the side dishes on the table. Muin ate with such enthusiasm. Despite her small size, the appetite of a young dragon was considerable. She hadn't reached the level of Rosvitha, who could go days without eating anything and be unaffected. As they ate, Leon noticed that Muin had picked out all the purple cabbage from the side dishes and put it on an empty plate beside her. He didn't pay too much attention to it, but then he heard Rosvitha say, "You shouldn't be picky, Muin." Muin paused in her eating, a bit of sandwich breadcrumbs still clinging to her lips. She blinked her pretty big eyes. "Mom, Muin doesn't like purple cabbage, so Muin doesn't want to eat it." "You're at an age where proper nutrition is important. If you're picky, you won't grow tall. Right, Leon?" Rosvitha said. Let her eat what she wants. Ouch, Leon yelped as Rosvitha kicked his shin under the table. "What did you say? I didn't catch that," Rosvitha said with a smile as bright as flowers. Rubbing his leg quietly, Leon shot a glance at the dragoness. To avoid further entanglement, he said, Mom's right, Muin shouldn't be picky now. Balanced nutrition is important for a healthy body." After a pause, Leon added, "Sis never picks at her food." "Is that so? Then Muin won't be picky either. It's just purple cabbage, Muin isn't afraid." With that, the young dragon girl speared the purple cabbage with her fork, eyeing it as if it were a formidable foe, then swallowed it in one gulp. She puffed up her chubby cheeks and tightly closed her mouth, as if afraid the purple cabbage might escape from within. After a moment of hesitation, Muin finally managed to swallow that mouthful of purple cabbage. Leon indeed had a knack for handling his youngest daughter, but more than anything he doted on Muin. "All right, one bite is enough, take it slow. Have some more sandwiches," he said. "Thanks, Dad, Dad's the best," Muin exclaimed happily. Rosvitha smiled faintly, then suddenly remembered something. "Oh, I forgot, I still have a vegetable salad to bring out. Wait a moment." With that, she got up and headed to the kitchen. When she returned, she was carrying a bowl of salad. Leon recognized the large bowl containing the salad. Wasn't it the one he had seen covered with a plate in the kitchen earlier? But Rosvitha had just said it wasn't necessary to bring it out, and now she said she forgot. Leon swallowed subtly, feeling an uneasy premonition creeping into his mind. He glanced sideways at Rosvitha. Rosvitha rested her chin in her hand, nibbling on a slice of bread. Noticing Leon's gaze, she looked back at him. "What are you looking at? Eat your food." "Oh, Muin, try the vegetable salad," Rosvitha said. "Okay." Muin leaned forward and scooped a small portion of salad onto her plate. "Wow, it's carrots. We haven't had carrots at home in a long time." Muin speared the orange red pieces from the plate and happily put them into her mouth. Carrots. Leon's eating motion suddenly froze. The impact of this word on him was no less than his master calling him by his full name. Before Leon could react, Rosvitha spoke again. "Muin, your dad has been eyeing that bowl of vegetable salad. What should you do now?" Muin's antennae twitched slightly. "Help Dad serve a portion." "Okay, then hurry up." "Sure thing." Once again, the young dragon girl got up and scooped a portion of salad onto Leon's plate. "For Dad," she said. Leon looked down at the plate. Salad dressing, cucumber, tomato, onion, and carrot. It really was that thing. What's the difference between this and an SSS-class dangerous species? Leon's hand holding the fork trembled slightly, and he unconsciously pulled his chair back a bit. "What's wrong, Leon? Why aren't you eating? Don't you like the salad Muin served you?" Rosvitha asked. Dad doesn't like it." Muin looked at him with a pitiful expression. Leon pursed his lips and forced a smile. "No, I like it. Dad definitely likes the salad Muin served. Dad will eat it right away." "Yeah, Dad, eat up. Carrots are delicious." "Damn it. Why don't you take after your old man when it comes to not eating carrots?" Leon thought angrily as he toyed with the salad on his plate with his fork. He polished off all the side dishes except for the carrots, then pretended to be satisfied as he patted his stomach. It was truly delicious. Thank you, Muin." "If it's so delicious, why not finish everything?" Rosvitha squinted and smiled, gesturing towards the remaining carrot dices on Leon's plate. "Are you being picky too?" Aye. "Dad, you just told Muin that you shouldn't be picky and that nutrition should be balanced." The young dragon girl chimed in. mimicking her mother. Otherwise, you'll be unhealthy. Dad, you always look so out of sorts, so you definitely can't be picky. Muin is right, Leon. Your health is already not good, so you absolutely can't be picky, Risvitha spoke softly, as if she really cared about Leon's health. Well, she did indeed care. Come on, eat up, don't make Muin worry about your health. With that, she affectionately reached out her hand and gently covered Leon's trembling hand. Taking care of your body is more important than anything. Finally, the dragoness mouthed the word husband with her lips. The taste of the carrot had rendered Leon unable to think straight. All he knew was that under the tacit cooperation of these mother and daughter, he had no choice but to eat the remaining carrots. Fine. He would eat it. Would a top-tier dragon slayer be afraid of such a common vegetable? Just ate it, this humble meal. Whoever said those who fear carrots aren't heroes? Leon speared the carrot dices and bravely stuffed them into his mouth. In the moment when the carrot attacked his taste buds, Leon felt like he saw his death, although he had no idea what his death would look like. Oh, Tilda, Dad isn't picky. Dad's so great, Tilda. Then Muin wants to eat another piece of purple cabbage, Tilda. What a good daughter. You understand how to accompany someone. Risvitha smiled faintly, picked up a whole carrot from the table, and took a gentle bite. Crunch! Leon awkwardly turned his head to look. He saw Risvitha calmly chewing on that terrifying vegetable. After noticing Leon's gaze, she deliberately took another bite in front of him, chewing slowly in her mouth. Why are you staring at me like that? Do you want to eat too? Here, Risvitha extended the carrot towards Leon. Leon, get this filthy thing away, quickly. Satisfied with Leon's reaction, Risvitha couldn't help but feel pleased. However, do you think it's over, dear Mr. Casmode? Our days are still long ahead of us, Tilda.